I am Miss Eby, and I am your child's history teacher this year. This year is Western Civilization II, focusing on the Middle Ages and particularly Europe. And we're focused on this era and this region because this is the culture that plants the seeds of our current civilization in America. These are the times and the struggles that really develop our own approach to individualism, to government, to philosophy, and the way we handle much of our current culture. We're focused on the Middle Ages this year in particular. And this is an exciting era of castles and knights and heroism and struggles. But it also encapsulates a lot of the grit and the fight to survive and really create something new that is so important to our culture. We also see how it's not a completely isolated area. Much of what we call Western civilization dealt with many of the surrounding areas, trade with China and Africa, and the idea of expanding out eventually west into the New World really come into play and are influenced here. But nothing happens in a bubble. This is about everything interacting as this one civilization begins to expand and spread its horizons, both geographically and figuratively. Now, at the beginning of the year, I am really focusing on how we know history, how we study history. And the first way we do that is through texts. We have primary sources. A lot of what will be reading this year are primary sources. So we started off reading one of those sources, Geoffrey of Monmouth's History of the Kings of England, and looking at what it could tell us and what it couldn't tell us. What are the limitations of these primary sources, particularly when they, like Geoffrey does, rely on oral legend rather than observable history. And yet, despite the fact that it's an almost completely made up story for the beginning of England, it has a lot of truths about the England that Geoffrey lived in as well. So we can deduce some information based on these texts, even if it's not the information that it was intended to have. We also have historical monographs, particularly by historians. The textbook, our textbook is the hit book of the Middle Ages, and it is quite good. And we also have historical fiction, which, if well researched, can really develop our understanding of the context of the world. Students have a project this year, stretching out over most of the year, to read an outside book and report about it to the class. Details are given to the students. You can ask them. We're also looking at archaeology. And to start off with, we're looking at the archaeology, particularly of the bog bodies. How does this work? How does archaeology actually tell us about history? If we look at just the facts of these weird burials, what can they tell us about what actually happened? And so, how we look at archaeology, how we look at these artifacts of the ancient world, really helps us develop our questioning and our understanding of what happened in the past and how we approach knowing other things as well. So, looking particularly at the bog bodies, we look at what we know in specific, what we can deduce from that, and if we can make any theories about what possibly happened. Now, once we establish this groundwork for how to approach history and how to approach the facts that we know, we are going to start with the world outside of Rome, the barbarians, and then the collapse of Rome and how that created a power vacuum into which the European civilizations are going to try to step into and develop their own amalgamation of really a fascinating culture of defense and fight and honor and how that all came about. I look forward to working with you and your children this year. I hope you have a great year. Thank you.